Hello gentlemen, good day. Well, today we're going to do something that I rather enjoy. I'm going to get all the razors out. Today I'm just going to do, well, show and tell I guess, my razor collection as it stands from now. This is 2025. To start it off, I'll put these in a form of an order, but it's just so hard to actually pick what are my favourites. I have got kind of like a lump of razors that are my favourites, but even when I get them together and try and pick it down to three, it's just nearly impossible. So anyway, I'm not starting out of like this is my least favourite either. I've just got like a bundle of, well, ones that are not my favourites but I rather like. So this one is a Bismarck Junior, and from my understanding it's actually quite a rare-ish razor. I struggled to find anything online really, and I've put it out there a few times to try and find out if anybody's got another one, and obviously there is, but in the online world there's not many of them, we'll put it that way. Made in Germany obviously, all Bismarcks are made in Germany. And it's quite a fine example of one. It's quite an irie in it as well, because it's called a Bismarck Junior, but it's actually bigger than the other Bismarcks I've had. So, was it a German joke? I'm not too sure. But it's in quite fine condition, as we can see. I've actually got to touch this up ever so slightly. I shaved with this, so I can remember honing it. And on the 2000 grit, it was biting like a maniac. And in my head, I kept on thinking, wow man, this one's just going to shave. Sort of tremendous, but yeah, something went a little bit amiss as I went through the other stones. So basically it needs a little bit of a touch up. It is shaving and it shaves okay, but I know it can shave a lot better. So yeah, it's going to be going back onto the stones, if ever so briefly. I'll probably take it back to a 5000 and get the edge all nice and shiny again and just see what I'm at a bit really. But yeah, it's a lovely razor, quite a nice fixed spine to it. It's got a lovely feel to it. It really has. Gimping's nice and strong on it. Yeah, just a great razor really. A great German razor. It's got quite a nice box as well. And next we have got, well, possibly one of the most mass-produced razors in the entire world. That's at least what I think anyway. It's a Crown and Sword razor, and the number is the very, very popular 1166. But as you can all see, it's got a very different look to this one, because this is the only one I've ever had with a barber's notch. And I've got a little story for this. So I've only got about 3 razors that I ever regret selling, and one of them was called a Crown and Sword magnetic razor, and you can go onto my YouTube, you can find it. I shaved with it as well, I'm sure I did, and I did one of them twirly gigger rotating videos years ago now actually, well over a year, and well, I don't know what come over me, but anyway I ended up bloody putting it up for sale, and it sold, sorry, and yeah, I don't know, I regretted it. I think I didn't so much regret it as I was packing it, but but after it went, I was gutted. So yeah, I don't do it too often anymore. Like I said, I've sold hundreds of razors, and I only really regret selling 3. And it's really only 2 really that really stand out. I'm not even going to tell you the next one because it's a secret. Just in case it comes up for sale again. Oh dear. Mate, you've got to have some secrets, haven't you? But yeah, a Crown and Sword razor, and these are made by Ern. And Ern, I think it's quite agreed across the razor spectrum that he was just truly prolific. Oh, I have to do it again. Prolific. It's gone, isn't it? It's just completely gone. And just some of the best grinding ever on his razors. He really did employ some of the best razors, and that obviously he had the best machine at the time, the old hex razor grinder, the double wheels. First person to invent the double wheeled, grinding both side razor grinder really. So some achievement. But yeah, it's a lovely razor. Shaves pretty good. If I was going to be honest, I think I could get a little bit more out of it. So we might just do that at some point. But yeah, it's interesting. You don't get many of them with the old barber's notch. You really don't. I've looked high and low, and I've had, God, I don't know how many of them 1160/60s I've had. I've had a lot of them. Right, so what we've got here, well, you can barely tell from this box. The old box is a bit battered, to say the least. But it's a George or Wolstenholme, I think it's the Peerless. But anyway, let's have a little look. So as you can see, the box is beat up. But the box has served its purpose. Because look at this little beaut. And I'll tell you what, I got this and it was a bit sort of battered and bruised a little bit, it was. But it polished up lovely. And I managed to really save like the gold part of it as well. I think this is one of the first ones where I used, oh no, I can't actually say that about this because I can't remember. I can't remember if I covered the gold bit with a bit of sellotape, I've done that before, and then just lightly buffed it around and stuff, or whether I used nail polish, like clear nail polish, because I've done that a couple of times. That works a treat, by the way, if you want to save any of the gold stuff, and then you just use acetate to get it off. But yeah, it's a lovely razor, and do you know what, I've not actually shaved with that, so that's actually in my queue to shave, that is, but it just keeps getting bumped out because, well, I'll just get one that I prefer to shave with at the time. I'm a bit flippant sometimes with what I want to shave with at the time. But yeah, it's a lovely razor. I love one of my favourite Sheffield makes as well. Well, if you know this one, if you've kind of followed me a little bit. Oh, the actual horn scales need a little tiny bit of a bit more attention, don't they? It's because it's been sat in there for a couple of months. So this is a Joseph Rogers and Sons wedge, true wedge as well. I'd call this. It's about as near true to a wedge as you can get. It's like a slab of metal basically. And this is another one that needs a little bit more work. But you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a lovely, great big wide bevel. And it's just a beautiful thing, it is. I just think I can't see a thing there, is it, bud? Oh no, it's a mark on the bevel. Shouldn't really do that to the edge. But like I said, this has got to get touched up again. It's got the original pins, original collars, and the original scales. Like I said, the scales could probably do with a little tiny bit of work. Just a little bit of sanding where that's been sat in that drop box drying. This is not the original box, this weren't, but I had it saved from a razor that was all tatty. And it's a beautiful box, I must say. It's almost got like this shimmer to it. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but... And they've had some tool on it. Like I said, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but... It's had some like tooling done to it. Bit like sort of like a rainbow kind of pattern, but really tiny. And, well, it's imparted like a shine to it in a way. Yeah, it's a nice razor. It's got some lovely weight to it. And if you've seen my other video, my other like razor collection video, you've seen this one. I've shaved with this one online. This is a Bartman High Class 30, meaning 30. And I believe this was Noz when I got it. What that attaches to that. And it's just a wonderful thing. But I kind of wanted to shave with it, if you know what I mean, recently. So I don't know. I was thinking about selling it. I'm not one to just keep razors, you see, just because they're pretty or anything. Even though this is, it's probably quite possibly one of the best German razors ever made. Really, I don't know. I might change my mind. It's got nice 3-pin work and everything about it just shouts, quality basically. And it's got a sort of like a slightly different sort of stabilizer grind going on here, and it's got the proper German German bellied, but it's a very subtle one as well. Like you can kind of see it on the stabiliser if you look, how it kind of manifests on the blade. You can just catch it glinting. Oh yeah, I forgot actually as well. And this one is made from some quite famous Sheffield steel. So it's made from, is it Kaiser, Ellison and Co. steel, and that was a company that used to make a lot of, you know, things out of steel, you know, cutlers and, you know, just everything that Sheffield was about. But instead of carrying on down that route, they give up making things and they focused on making metal and metal only, and then supplying metal to the Sheffield trade. And you'll get there's quite a few German razors that like to use steel, and one of them's Puma. So you can get some Puma razors that use his steel. Obviously Bartman, and there's another one, but it's gone. Yeah, it's gone out of my memory. But there was others as well. But yeah, there's some quite famous German manufacturers. And then we got Mr. Klopp. And this was one of my great finds of the year. This was, because I've had so many crops over the years. I've got some there, but I ain't touching them at the moment. You know, I've always got lots of crops, and I've always quite liked the crops, because if you don't know, they've got like this slightly different grind pattern to them. But yeah, I kind of accidentally bought this razor, and it's a big old crop. So I thought, well, let's keep this one. And then to cap it off as well, it's got horn scales. And I've been, you know, online, and I've been trying to kind of, you know, research crops and stuff. And I do believe the horns might be genuine, meaning the ones that come with it. And, you know, the earlier crops did have some horn scales. They had ivory as well. I've never seen one with ivory scales, I must say. This one's ground in Hamburg. It don't say whether the steel's from Sheffield, but that was quite a common thing. But they did use German steel as well. So what's different with a crop razor? Well, they've got this bit of a hump going on. This is like a generalisation of a crop razor, but they've nearly always got this like forward pointing stabiliser. And I come across an old ad the other day. So I'm just checking out. It ain't cracked. I'm on high alert for cracks at the moment, because long and short of it, I bought 2 razors last week, and the person who was selling them let's just say hid the cracks within like the razor photos, so it weren't the nicest like razor buying experience. Like I got a refund and everything, but they clearly tried to hide the cracks. They were small cracks, but instantly as soon as I got it in hand, I could see it. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so yeah, crops have got this forward facing, going that way from the top, stabiliser. And if you look at photos of them, they nearly all do it. But this one, I don't know, it's just chunkier all around. So it's got, I guess you can kind of see, it's got a really thick spine on it. I did measure it, but I forget now. And it's got this really rather large shank area. And even look, even the little tail, even the little tang, it's just fatter all around. And for my builder's hands, it's bloody lovely. And it's got my favourite gimping as well, which I kind of call like the shark kind of gimping. It's just that I call it in my head, but it's where they filed it, so the serrations of the file, so let's put it down like that, they're going that way. So it's a bit like shark's teeth, you know how they kind of love my sound effects. But yeah, it's got some lovely gimping on the bottom. It's really, really strong still. And I reckon this razor's probably lost a couple of mil, because it's got kind of a thick band of homeware, like both sides. So it's definitely lost a little bit of width to it. And if I was going to guess, I'd say it's probably lost about 2 mil. But anyway, it's a lovely razor, and it shaves pretty decent as well. And because it's got horn scales, I was like, yep, we'll be keeping that one. Nice old crop box as well. It's in good condition, this one. Pardon me. Yeah, they made strops and everything. Crop's a bit of a funny company, like because from my understanding of it, they basically just sourced out a lot of their work, if you know what I mean. But clever, nonetheless. Right, we've got this Class Tornblom, Eskilstuna, Sweden, little box. What we've got in here? Well, we've got a beautiful little Class, haven't we? Just have a little look at the box. It's got some sort of gold gilding kind of work, whatever you call it. I don't know if it's gilding work on there, but it says Class Tornblom, X-ray mark, Sweden, Eskilstuna. And yeah, the X-ray mark is this. That's their little. I should have cleaned some of these, shouldn't I? At least wiped them down. But you can see I put my razors away quite nice, don't you? Because none of them so far have got any form of rust going on. And these just live in my bedroom in my clothes drawer, like the top sort of drawer of my clothes sort of drawer. I did the scales on these. It's one of my scales jobs. Nice little brass wedge, nice brass peening. I think this was one of the first goes of doing the 3-pinner without any form of collar as well. And for me, I'm still impressed by it. Yeah, and like Sweden are known for their like super complex grinds and stuff, and this is a very fine example of, and it's one of the reasons I want to keep this razor, because it's just a very fine example of grinding, you know, like, so even the thumb notch kind of part of it, it's got the little sort of, well, it's almost like a CV Hildesland notch thing there. But yeah, you can see that the gimping's very fine. Everything about it's just really, really fine. But because of the little notch and because of the gimping, it still fits in my hand lovely. Like, because struggle is probably the wrong word, but I don't favour shanks that are this thin on the whole kind of thing. But because of the way that little notch is and everything, you know, I can find decent purchase of it. So I've got a bit of skin falling off my thumb there. That's actually from razors, that is. Well, I am being a builder, but yeah, it's just a lovely grind pattern on it. It really is. It's a fine razor, and it's got one of my kind of little favourite toe areas as well. I don't know if you can kind of see that, whether it's picking that up at all. It's quite hard to pick up in it, but it's where it kind of meets in the middle there, and it's got that little bit there, and then yeah, it's one of my favourite, well, designs basically. And as you can see, it's waiting for a brother or sister. So I actually have to go through my other razors and find a nice, because it has to be a littleish class, because otherwise, well, in fact it has to be quite a little class, doesn't it? But yeah, nice little box, nice little piece of sort of Swedish history in a way. And next we've got one of my favourite German makes. We've got a J.A. Hengel's, and this is like between this and Dorco. They're like my two favourite sort of German makes, and I get a bit soft in the old wallet for a J.A. Hengel's. I imported this from America. The scales are done by me, and it was a bit sort of beat up, but I could see the, wow, I could see it was going to turn out decent. So I thought, oh, we'll take a little sort of punt on this, and I'm really glad I did, because the scales were broke, and I don't know if you know what scales have come on. So sorry, I'll start again as well. So the 401 razor was a particular razor that they made to celebrate. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was probably like a year or something of being in you know making cutlery and tools and whatnot. But it's like a celebratory kind of a razor number, and it comes with rather pretty scales actually. They're like a light coloured, almost translucent a little bit, but then kind of not, scales. You can go online, you can find it. Just type in J.A. Hengel's 401 and you'll find some stuff. But yeah, the pivot end, one part of it was completely like blown off, and yeah, they were unsaleable, and it weren't like you was ever going to find another like half to the scale either, to be fair. So when I bought it knowing that I was going to do like a rescale job on it, and because it was a J angles, I was like, right, we can do the business on this. So I practiced a few things on this. It's one of the first times I did 3-pinner. It's with a collar, and I also infilled all of this. So there was only like a tiny bit of paint left in all these areas. So what I did is I searched online for enamel paints, and lo and behold, I found an enamel paint which is nearly, to my eye, perfect to what J.A. Hengels used in a lot of their kind of work, we'd call it, in terms of like this paint scheme sort of thing. So I poured it in, brushed it in kind of thing. From memory, I did like a little sort of paper or like tape kind of thing so it wouldn't go everywhere. And then I let it go hard, and then with a Stanley blade I bladed it off, and then very carefully kind of like tried to polish it. I learnt a bit. I could have done it better. The next time I do it, I'll definitely do it better. But either, it turned out lovely, and it's still in there. I've shaved it a couple of times. And on this side you've got J.A. Hengels, Twin Works, Solingen, Germany, and then you've got the 401 again. Yeah, it's just it's a fine German J.A. Hengels razor with nice scales. This is one of the first times I did my own. Well, no, it weren't actually one of the first times, because I've got an early razor that I first did. I did my little thing that I like doing. I'm really fond of like red and black. Like my Leathercraft stuff's a lot of red and black. So you've got like a little sliver of brass, and then that's the red's G10. Yeah, it came out nice. Nice restore, nice sort of, well, complete refresh really. And in here we have got one of my most favouriteest razors. I must shave this again actually. It's got a funky little box, this didn't come with it. I think it's from Sweden, that is. Well, I don't think it is, because it's got Swedish on it. And this is quite a rare-ish razor. It was rescaled by me. If I was going to rescale it again, it'd probably come out a tiny bit better. This was one of my first like rescales. Should have gone a little bit thinner there, I feel. But on the whole, the finish is nice. I don't think the scales would be for everybody. I think that was one of the comments when I put it online. It's got quite a thick sort of brass wedge in this, but because of the weight of the razor, it's perfectly fine. So it's made by Ern. It says A1 quality, made in Germany, and it's a Burr, B-U-R. And on that side it says Solingen, Germany. And if you can kind of look at the grind, it's just a little tiny bit more meaty than, let's say, the other urn that I just showed you, the 1166. But it's got a really nice grind to it, it really has. And it shaves wonderfully. This when I first shaved with this, it was one of them kind of almost like wow moments in a way. I was really impressed, and the steel's quite stiff. And if you know your razors, you know that can make a big difference sometimes. That's got some scratch marks going that way that really annoys me. I didn't put none of them on. I don't know, I might attempt to get some of them out next time, but then you can end up losing some of your A1 quality made in Germany etching, so it's one of them. But it's a great razor, mate, it really is. And it's one that you don't really see come up for sale too often. You know, I've always got my eyes peeled, everything that goes for sale in the UK kind of thing, and you know, everywhere I can kind of look. And I've not really seen any, well, I've not seen any decent ones for sale, because I wouldn't mind making it a pair. But no, anyway, I can't actually remember what's in this box, so let's have a look. Oh right, yeah, so we've got this Puma, and this is a Puma 19, and it come to me quite battered, this did, but I've been after a Puma for a while, and and I've had lots of Pumas over the years, but none of them really tick my boxes. So I want it to be shoulderless, not shoulderless, sorry, stabiliserless. I want it to be like an older Puma, we call it, and this kind of ticked all my boxes basically. It's about 20, well, it's over 20 mil. It's about 21 mil. It's sort of about my favourite grind. It's got a little bit more meat in it than most hollows. Horn scales, and the horn scales on this they were done for in a way. So I've tried to save them, and I think I've definitely stabilised them. I was just trying different things. I did my little micro peening with brass, like a really thin brass sheet at the back there. The glue weren't really holding the crack, because the crack was wide, man. Like, it really kind of went out. I did take some photos of it and put it online at some point. So this is the first time I kind of tried to do this little strapping thing. I don't know if you can see it there. Which come out okay, but if I was going to do it again, I'll get it better than that, because it's my first time doing it. But it's a Puma 19. You don't really see many of them for sale. Obviously it's battered, but it shaves quite well, and it's just a decent razor, man. It's kind of itched my Puma itch. Not 100% sure the scales are original. I've not seen many Pumas with horn scales, but who knows? Who cares? And this one is this is my favouriteest frame back, and it's just lovely. Really is. Shaves really well. And it's got some of my best horns on some of my best scales, which is sort of translucent blonde horn. Really is. Look at that. It's lovely. Yeah, I love it. And it's made by CJ Wingard and Co. And if you don't know who they are, it was a gentleman of Nordic blood who dad, or even his grandparent, went to England, ended up in Sheffield, was an importer of this and that, like a merchant, and then Mr. CJ eventually started making razors. And if you didn't know that this was like a Sheffield razor, you'd kind of I'd kind of assume that it was possibly a Swedish, but it's just a lot bigger. You know, it's got a bit of weight to it. Just everything about it screams quality. It really does. And I imagine it was probably about 2 mil bigger than this when it was first out of the factory. But yeah, it's lovely. It was a bit of a pain to hone, because I dropped it. I literally dropped it here, and it landed on my concrete floor of sorts, and it put this chip in it just about there. And I ain't kidding you, it took forever to gently get the chip out, and because obviously I didn't want to change the profile of it. But if I didn't chip it, it'd have been lovely to hone, because the rest of it, right up to kind of about there, honed just wonderfully. And because I'm trying to tease it around an area that it wasn't manufactured to do, so it had quite a sort of straightish end point to it. I was very gutted, but I saved it, and I think that one will been with me forever, this one. Just a combination of scales, brass. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a form of etching on it, and it says, let me have a little look, universally approved Wingard, set ready for use. And it would have been really pretty etching, because it's got like flowery bits, and I can't remember what they're called, like them curly. But through the passage of time, it's gone. It's in a rather nice little box. Gentleman's Companion, special hollow grind. They just about fit in there, those two razors. What we got in here then? We have got a John Watts, Sheffield, England, established 1765. So established a long time ago. And well, what we got here? Well, we have got a genuinely rare razor. It is a John Watts tapered razor. So to an untrained eye, you might go, oh my God, what has gone on to this razor? Somebody, look how they've honed it. No, it's meant to be like that, you see. They were called tapered razors. It didn't have these scales when I got it. It had celluloid scales. But I wanted to put up with that. So I found these, and it shows off the blade. Shows it off quite nice, doesn't it? So how can you tell by looking at photos if you're buying a tapered razor or one that's made to look like a tapered razor? Well, the giveaway is the spine. So the spine has to have the taper. And if you look at this, this spine has actually got a belly. So this spine goes like that side, and then like that side. So we can actually have a bit of a bellied razor, you know, like a bit of a slight smile going on there. It's really quite interesting. And it's got a thick spine. It's a lot thicker than, you know, normal. It's got some lovely gimping on it. Again, it's like that shark's gimping going that way. Fits lovely in the hand, and it shaves great as well. It wasn't overly hard to hone or anything. It run laps quite easy, really. But it's a nice piece of razor history. From everything I could find out, there was a bit of a craze for sort of 10-15 years in 1870 or 1880, for roughly kind of like 10-15 years. And Sheffield, because I've only ever found Sheffield razors that are tapered, they basically pumped them out. So you can find, what ones have I found? I think I found an Elliott's one, Joseph Elliott's. I definitely found a Joseph Rogers. I'm pretty much sure of Rogers, yeah. There's one on Badger and Blade, you see, that somebody got and tarted up and everything, and he did a really good job on it. It was lovely. But I've not seen a John Watts one. So there must be other ones out there by the other manufacturers. I imagine George Wassenhome must have done one. There was no way he was going to let his competitors pull that on him, I would imagine. But yeah, it's a lovely razor. It's, well, nice piece of razor history as well, I say. Like I said, shaves great. Lovely horn scales as well. Just a great find that was. That was probably one of my best finds of last year. And I didn't really pay too much for it, and I think that's because everybody was assuming that it had it, because it kind of looks like it's had it. It's one of the sheaths I made last year. Weren't my best attempt. Weren't. I ain't gonna lie. I love red, but I don't like this leather red. But anyway, it was good practice. Some of my stitching kind of went amiss down there. Like, it's all sound. It'll never. You know, it'd last 100 years, but it weren't my best job anyway, we'll put it that way. But it looks after this nice razor. Come on, you can come out. There we go. It is a J.A. Hengel's Freador 17 and a half. You see the 17 and a half there? J.A. Hengel's Zwillingwerk Solingen. Sorry if that is nowhere near it. And I went for a bit of a craze of buying Freadors. So I've had two Freador 17s, 17 and a half, and what's the other one that's very common? Is it 572 or 72? Anyway, whatever it was, I've had two of them as well. And I ended up just selling all the rest. Like, while I do like the Freadors, I prefer carbon steel. Just like nearly everybody, I think. Generally anyway. I don't care for it to be a little bit more rust resistant and everything. And the reason I ain't sold this one is because I excuse it is it's my travel razor. Even though I don't really travel anywhere anymore. But that's my excuse for keeping it. And also, I'm a massive fan of J.A. Hengel's. You don't really see as many as of the round points, so that the 17 and a half, the half denotes a round point. I don't think that's absolutely gospel, but it is what was intended to be the case. I would prefer a square toe, to be fair, just because that's what I prefer in terms of an aesthetics. It shaves okay. I think it's got either a cuticle or a water air edge on it. And I can remember just thinking I need to put more work into that, but both of those stones I do need to just explore a little bit more, especially my cuticle. I've not honed that many razors off of that. But it's a lovely razor, and my case does protect it very well. Just worked my best attempt, that work. Right, what we got in here? Ooh, let's do that one first. So in here we have another one of my restorations, restores, refresh, whatever you want to call it. I did the scales on this as well. I'll talk about them in a little bit because I tried some new things on them. And it's a rather fancy Joseph Elliott's Diamante. And in today's world, it means kind of like fake stones, doesn't it? And sort of almost a little bit sort of what would you call it? Over the top, glary fake stones. But when this razor was made in Old English, Diamante meant more so along the lines of unbreakable and precious. So it was still sort of aligned a little bit with diamonds of sorts. Hence why you've got this little bit of a well, what they call, I believe, what people call the diamond profile grind. So like when you look at it from right down, you've almost got like the diamond shape. It's been an absolute bugger to hone, and it's not because of that cutout bit. It's just because whoever had this razor before me, the very apex of this, the metal of this bevel, was just a million miles away from the edge. So I got up to like 3.5 layers of tape, and it's shaved good, but it needs a little bit more work, I think. This is the first time I did any form of like inlaying, so this was almost like my practice piece. Very, very unoriginal scales, I think, for this razor, considering how old it is. But I thought just this whole kind of pattern on this razor scale material just really worked with it. So I thought, why not, man? It's my razor. I probably won't bump. It's my razor, so I can do what I want with it, can't I? As I always say, that goes for everybody. It's got quite a thick spine. It's got a nice feel to this razor. Many improvements could be had with my inlay work, but overall I'm quite happy with it. I used resin, and these scales are acrylic, and resin and acrylic, they don't really bond, if you know what I mean. Like they do, but they don't really stick to one another great at all. So what I thought was, well, I'll just do my little micro peening thing. So I did my little micro peening, just to make sure it was held in place, really. But it's quite an old Joseph Elliott's, best silver steel, and you can tell it's quite old. Just the whole feel of it, the grind, and then obviously you've got the tang, which is a tiny bit of a giveaway. But I'm happy with it, how it come out. I'm happy that I've saved it, and just happy how it come out, really. It's a nice razor. It's nice to, you know, hold and just look at, really, that kind of razor. Right, next we've got this manufactured by Thomas Turner, Sheffield, warranted, and it's a double box. And I've always kind of kept the double boxes, you know, in hope of filling it with a Thomas Turner. And I have had a few Thomas Turner razors in the meantime, but they've actually come in like their own cases and stuff, so I didn't feel any need to put them ones in it, if you know what I mean. But what we got in here, well, we've got a pair of Japanese razors. And if you know me, you know I'm very fond of Japanese razors, and especially ones that are made from Swedish steel. And this one, before I had it, has been butchered with the sandpaper. I'm going to have to try and do something about that. Because in this light, that's terrible. I paid a pretty penny for this razor as well. It don't really show up. I don't know how it's showing up on the... It might not be showing up great here, but that's just terrible what somebody's done to that. It's a really fine sandpaper as well. Like, if I was have to guess, I'd say it's like 1500 in terms of the sandpaper I use, because I can't feel it at all. But it's really noticeable in this light, like the light's coming from there. But it's a Kikuboshi, and if you know anything about Kikuboshi, you know that they're very, very good razors from Japan. And one of the things I love about Japanese razors is generally just their profile. I just love it. I love the way they used to chase, you know, the whole blade out the way, you know. And it's just a proper sign of craftsmanship and trust in their steel, you know. So it has still got a shoulder, because that is classed as a shoulder, that little ramp there. But as you can see on the actual blade and how it's been released, there's nothing. It's just the most hollowest of hollow grinds, and it really is. Can you see like the way the grind? It's just lovely, man. It's a very consistent, even grind, and there is ever so much slightly of sort of a belly of sorts. I can feel there's a very slight thinness, just kind of right down that middle, but you can't really see it. I can a tiny bit, I guess, once you get your eye in. But yeah, very finely made. And this is one of the razors that I need to put out there to one of my Japanese kind of friends. I've not shaved with that for a while. I'm going to have to do something about these scratches. I'm going to have to. Because gee whiz, when I've got it out and shaved it and up in my room and everything, it's not bad. But I don't know if that's picking it up on the video, man. That's really bad. Sacrilege, isn't it? It's like just full on. What an absolute fool whoever did that. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So what we've got here, we've got another Japanese. And this is a Theon. And this is made from Swedish steel. It's a 6800. And it's a very fine shaver, this is. And it's again by Kikuboshi. And it says Kikuboshi Razors Co. FT. And again, this is the same kind of grind, but the hollowness starts a little bit further down into it. This is when I was going through, I've got to find some Japanese razors. I don't know if you're picking that up. But yeah, it's got a slightly different grind. A little tiny bit more meat in it, and you can kind of feel this in your hand. Yeah, it feels quite a bit lighter. It's probably only a few grams, but once your fingers get that sort of feeling in them, they you know, they always know it, don't they? But yeah, lovely razor. Shaves great. Proper Japanese kind of grind as well. Proper Japanese like shine to it and everything. Swedish steel. I always say I'm a massive fan of Swedish steel, and I'm an even bigger fan of Swedish steel in Japanese hands. We've got a nice box here. It's got nothing really on the box. It's made from oak, and it's just got the little pin button. Probably do with another slight oil. I have oiled this since I've had it, but it's just been sat upstairs for ages. Yeah, I think it does need a little bit of nourishment. What we got in here? Well, it was, sorry, as well, Morton and Co. And they're cheap street. So if you look at these weren't in here. There were different Mortons. But these are Morton & Co, cheap side. I've had probably about 4 7-day sets of these come through me over the years, and not one of them's been bloody complete. Actually, one of them is complete, but the scales are all beat up. Anyway, yeah, it's a nice, one of my best sort of oak boxes, so I thought, oh, I'm going to keep this one. And this one, this razor, is a Joseph Elliott's, no, not Joseph Elliott, sorry, Joseph Rogers and Sons. I've recently kind of restored this one. And it says, Joseph Rogers and Sons, #1, Star and Cross razor. And it's got some beautiful markings on it. I replaced the scales on this, and it says ground in Sheffield, which is something that you don't normally see on Joseph Rogers razors. And I'll tell you something about this razor. It has got a split. Let me find it. So at the end of this, there is a split, and it goes to the left hand corner of this little screwdriver. It probably goes up about that far, and I thought to myself, well, is it worth it? So I thought, well, we'll give it a go, and it's honed up lovely, and the splits basically stayed as it is. So I figure, well, why not just keep it? It's got some lovely etching on it as well, like, you know, I could have just kept it as like a little showpiece anyway, I know. But yeah, I was a bit gutted when I found it. Do you know what? I didn't find that until about 5,000. The split is that fine. All the other grits up to then weren't showing it. And it weren't till I got up to about 5,000 and I started to notice this little tiny sort of problem that I was seeing. And then lo and behold, yeah, I found the split. I was a bit gutted, but I saved it. It works. And as you can see, we've got room for other razors in here. So what we've got here? Well, we've got a Joseph Wolstenholme and Sons, and they weren't in any way related to George Wolstenholme, as far as I can tell. Corporate mark Ebro, and that was the corporate mark that they had for a long time. It's got some nice horn scales. I could probably tart the scales up a little bit more, but I figure, why not? You know, it's just kind of, sometimes I just like leaving them a bit old and gnarly, because it is old and gnarly, you see. It's a very old razor. And look at this, look. It's got a funny old pattern to it, this one. It's got a bit of a hump, you know. It's just got a funny old pattern to it, but it's what drew me to it. And it's got one of my favouriteest toes again. So you see the toe, and this is actually my favourite like toe that so far I've come to find. And it's got the most finest of hollow grinds going on. Whoever ground this, man, just knew what they're at. It flexes, that you can move it. It's just ultra fine. And like I said, look, it's got the best kind of, my best kind of grinding pattern on it, where it comes to this little point at the top of the toe. I love it. That's just like my favourite. And when I saw that on this, I was like, right, we're gonna have that. So we did. We got it. And you don't see many of them about, basically. A fine Sheffield razor. So what we've got next? Well, we've got a razor that's got #2 on the top. And as you can see, it's got a little bit of spine work going on. It's different sort of like toe grinding on the spine. And these, because I've got 2 of these, and it's a lovely razor. It really is. It's a John Blythe Clinton Works. No, sorry, Clintock Works, Sheffield. And, well, I'll tell you something stupid. I was filming, starting to do YouTube, and there was me saying, oh, it's Genesis. No, it's freaking Genius. There was me calling it Genesis and everything. No, it was Genius. So, it made me look like a bit of a fool, this razor. But I never mind. So, I've got 2 of these, and one of them had a bloody nasty chip. From memory, it was either there or there, but I reckon it was more here. And it's took me so long, so many different attempts to get the chip out without, you know, like, well, just trying to save as much metal as I can. And it's coming through my stones a little bit now. Like I said it before, like I've got razors that will be my collection, and when I batch home, let's just say I've got like 3 or 4 razors, and I bung one of my ones in it, or at least one that I think might be one of my future collections. And the brother or sister to this is slowly coming through, and as you can see, it's got kind of like a thicker grind to it, but it's just lovely. It really is a lovely grind to it, and it's just got some really quite special grinding details, if you know what I mean. So you've got like the sweeping, almost like a complex grind going down there. You've got your little bit of spine work with a number 2. That part of the grind goes back a bit further, and just that lovely little sweeping sort of notching away. Great razor. And also the gimping. So this feels like it'd nearly cut you. Feels like it'd take skin. You look like you could fire your nails on it, that's for sure. Yeah, look at that. Quite literally, that's taking my nail off. And I love it. And I love it for that reason as well. It's just great. It feels great in my hand. You know what I mean? Don't matter how wet that is. Look at that grip. It ain't moving. It feels, the balance of this as well, by the way, is just marvellous. That feels like that's not really in your hand. The way it's like the, you know, the scales and just the way it's balanced. Feather-like. Yeah, so I've got 2 of them. They come in like a little 2 in a case. And I've still got the case, but the case was like really kind of, well, beat up a bit. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I might put both of these in one of my real nice cases that's already kind of took up a little bit, but we move them around. We can move them around. And next again, we've got one of these like 2 pieces. This one's unbranded, this one. And whatever was in this initially, they were quite a substantial razor, because it's a bit bigger than that other one. As you can kind of see if we put them together. Oh, you can't really, but yeah, it is a bit bigger. You can see there's not much in it actually. There's not, but it is a little bit bigger. But what we've got in here, well, one of these is especially one of my most favourite razors. So really this one should have been boosted up, and it's this one, I believe. Yep, it is. So it's just a Joseph Wolstenholme, and I say just because to me they made some of the best razors I've made. Celebrated IXL razor. This is one of my restorations, as best as I could anyway at the time. I did consider trying to fill more of this gold in and stuff, but I ended up coming to the conclusion I was going to make more of a mess than not. So I chose not to, basically. I might revisit it in a number of years if I get some other ones in I can practice on, and you know. But yeah, I just thought it's just too precious of a razor to even for me to get loose on it, if you know what I mean. But it's actually, when you look at it like that, it's got quite a similar feel to that blind one, if you know what I mean. So it says George Wolstenholme and Sons celebrated IXL razor, Washington Works, Sheffield. And I ain't kidding you, this shaves just wonderfully. It really does. It's one of my best shavers. It's definitely one of my best experiences to shave, if you're not. And it's got a real traditional Sheffield grind. So when I say Sheffield grind, that means that there's no belly to it whatsoever, basically, and it just goes from the top of the spine all the way down to just a gentle, nice hollow grind. Keeps a little bit more meat in it even when it reaches like the hollow part, but it's almost like just that gradual kind of grind. And they are some of the best shavers, I think, well, ever, like, in my opinion. And this is no exception. I just love it. It really is one of my most favourite razors. The stamping, everything. Even just getting it out, just love it. Sad, isn't it? And this one, I did actually save the scales as well. This is the first one I ever attempted doing my micro peening. So I don't know if you can, well, you probably can see it, because let's get a pin, we can use that. So the split comes all the way down to there, and it opened up way over like a, well it's probably about 2 mil there if I could sort of say a number. And it went all the way up like that, all the way up like that. So I was a bit like, oh God, how can I fix this, man, without sort of ruining it in a way and making it too clunky or anything like that. So I took it like fully apart, this razor. Yeah, I did, yeah, because I put the brass wedge. And I basically kind of made like a little mould around it. Like, it was only just using sticky tape. And then I completely filled it with glue, and it was a resin, 2-part resin, quite a fast acting strong one. And then I put the little sheet of brass backing at the back of it. I don't know if you can see that at all, but there's like brass backing there. It's really, really thin. I forget the width of it now. Like, sorry, no, the thickness, but it was really thin. Probably too thin actually, like if I was going to be critical of my own sort of setup. And then I put a micro peen through there and a micro peen through there, and so far it seems like it's completely holding. So and with this one as well, I didn't try and close the crack at all. I just thought, let's just fill it. So that's what we did. And I put a little tiny bit of black dye, I think, in the glue. Just happy to save it, really. Obviously happy to save what was left of these beautiful stamped scales as well. Yeah, like I said, one of my favourite razors. Just love it. Every time I shave with that, I shaved with that only 3 weeks ago, I think. And here's another old beaut. It really is. So this shaves magnificently. It really does. So here's another James Barlow and Son, manufactured Sheffield, corporate mark, Echo. Let's just get the other one out while we can. Get them both out together. So this one's Echo and this one's Hebrew. And when I first got this one, I was thinking it was that one. But it weren't. They're different makes, but they got similar corporate marks, which you used to get quite a lot of in Sheffield. And I was a bit undecided when I got it whether this was plastic or horn, but it is horn. Like you can see, it's had a bit like a horn bite, all that jazz really. And I was glad they were horn, because it means I didn't have to worry about the plastic degrading or anything like that. But this shaves lovely. It really does. Like the sweeping, smiling belly to it and everything. It's a near wedge as well, so it's got really good weight to it. But yeah, it just shaves lovely. Like I'm a big fan of that kind of belly. And when this would have been new, this would have probably had another 3 mil on it. Like it's got some home wear, and it does sort of have more home wear towards the toe. So it makes me think that somebody's persuaded the razor to have more of a smile towards the toe, because some people back in the day, do you know what I mean, they just shaped their shaving tool to how they preferred it, which is all fine by me. And whoever did it certainly knew what they were at, because it runs laps decent as well. Like some razors where you get this kind of smile to it, the razor weren't meant to do it firstly, so they can be a pain to hone. Anybody that hones a fair amount of razors will fully understand what I mean. But if you look at this spine, it's got a decent, curve to it, and if you look at that, it basically nearly matches the spine, doesn't it? I think it does curl more in towards the toe, but it kind of flows with it, if you know what I mean. And it flows on the laps as well, on the stones. It's lovely. It's one of my favourite shavers, that is. And again, every time I get that out, it's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful kind of experience and whatnot. Can't make out what that says. Is it stallion or flalling? Anyway, got like this just different box for this one. It's not obviously not the one that it came in. I've got something sent in it, like a razor, so I thought, well, I can use that. So what would this have been, lads? It'd have been like a bracelet, wouldn't it? Bracelet or a necklace, wouldn't it? But anyway, it's not there anymore. It's now my razor box for this razor. So some of you would have seen this recently because this is one of the newer ones that I've restored. It's got completely new scales, the horn scales. It's got to be horn because it's well, Wade and Butcher for barber's use, so it had to be horn scales in my view. And if you see like that razor we just did, see that this razor got the same spine profile, but if you look at the edge, it's relatively flat. So whoever had this razor before me, they've honed the smile out of it, which was very, very common for the Wade and Butchers for barber's use, and obviously all the other old Sheffield for barber's uses and stuff. Because a lot of people, I think, they just thought they weren't meant to be like that, and they thought, oh, if we grind it out of it, it's easier to hone. But actually, it's not. It's not any easier to hone, like generally, because you've taken the flow out of the relationship to the spine a little bit. But still, it's worked out great because it shaves alright. And yeah, I had to get another one. I've had 2 of these for barber's use now. Some people say the Wade and Butchers with the S is slightly older than the ones that have got the stamping on the face, so the etching or whatever. Whether that's true, I don't bloody know. It's not like we can actually go back and ask anybody anyway, can we, and confirm, so who knows. It's got a very thin grind to it. It's got a slight bit of damage there by somebody, but yeah, it's a very thin grind, and it really is quite thin. It flexes and stuff. The edge needs a little tiny bit more work on it, I'd say. It's in overall good condition, especially for its age and its usage and whatnot, but it really is a nice old razor. Feels nice in the hand. I wish it had some gimping, I must say, but it's got a nice wide, you know, and I'll put the brass wedge in it, and that brass wedge is roughly about the size of the lead wedge, but it feels nicely balanced in your hand. Like, it fits nice. If anything, it's got better balance than what it come with. The scales are a bit tatty that come with it, so I was a bit like, we're going to have them out. Put my own ones on. I'm not too sure where we're going to keep it, but long and short, I needed to get a Wade and Butchers for barber's use. So when I start grinding razors, I've got one with me that, you know, I can really sort of look at and study and everything. Nice old razor. Glad to have saved it whatever way, because it weren't in the best of shape when I got it. I thought it was not going to turn out as well as it has, but it has. So it's a Wade and Butchers for barber's use. Let's put it back in its rather special box. There we go. It's nice. It's got a little magnet. If you was ever going to make some new razor boxes, it'd be pretty good one to make, wouldn't it? It's relatively easy as well. It's just got a little magnet in a folded card. I'm actually starting to get a slight sore throat because I've been talking so much. Not like me to talk this much. It's one of my old. I've had this case for a long time now, and I like this little case. And I've got to take it down the shop. And there's a bloke in town, and I'm wondering whether he can just do a little graving with a little brass, or I might actually even get like a sterling silver one. I know there'll be lots of companies I can ask for it, but I'd rather go local if I can. Yeah, it's an oak box. So let's have a look what we got in here. And this is my CV Heldisland box, I guess you can call it. So here we have an unstamped MK10. So it's not really an MK10, as I always say, because it's not stamped. But it is essentially an MK10 in every single way. Especially if it did have it's probably missing a mil from the width. But as you can see, it's got its thumb notch, different thumb notch to the MKs, and it's kinda got its thicker grind going on. I did these scales quite dainty scale, isn't it, when I look at it like that? Yeah, but we're nowhere near hitting the blade on that part. Yeah, I can't even get my finger in it. Need to shave with that. I ain't shaved with it for ages. It's the thing, innit? You get quite a few razors. Some of them end up going on the back burner. So what we got here then? Well, we've got my MKs. We've got my MK thumb notches. So here we've got the little MK31, and I say little. It's not really little, is it? It's not really a little razor. How big is it? It's about 18-ish mil. So it's very much kind of like a full size MK31. It's in fine fettle. Nearly kind of, well, immaculate really. There's a little snake down on there. But I ain't descaled this, you see, and I never would either, just to try and clean it up a little bit. Oops, sorry. But yeah, it's my MK31. Shaves great. Every time I get it out, it's a little joy to behold. And what have we got here? Well, we've got, let's try and get it. We've got the MK32. And this is the one that I saved from a 7-day set, this was. So I bought a 7-day set, like full on CV Helder strand. And I could see that there was 2 razors in it. And I could see that they'd, well, let's just say been misused, mistreated. They were like, you know, borderline addict. So, but I thought, well, for the box, it'd still be worth it. Let's see if that's, yeah, for the box, I thought, well, it'd still be worth it. And I'm glad I did, because there was this one in it. The other one was completely had it. It had all sorts of this, like, pitting. And when I say pitting, I mean like it'd gone through the razor and everything. And it was all over here. And it also had like a massive split that went, I think it went up to about there. I'm going to have to have a look at my photos. But either, it completely had it. And this one, I don't know if you can see it. This one had some really bad pitting in this area just here. So what I did is I just very, very gently with my stones reprofiled the stabiliser area until I'd gone past any form of like black hole pitting. The black hole of death, as I call them, for razors. And it turned out lovely, man, really did. So there's the size difference to the MK31. So that is basically full size more or less. And that's the MK32 compared to it. And you can tell this MK32 is one of the older ones. You can kind of tell that a little bit from the scales, but you can also tell it from the shank. So the older MKs, thumb notches, they had slightly bigger kind of like shanks. And I've had, well, I don't know how many MK30s, like I've had quite a few MK32s, I've had loads and loads of MK31s. And you kind of over the time you get your eye in a little bit. And the earlier ones had more weight in the shank. And this MK32 has got way more weight in it than most MK32s basically, and you can feel it in the razor, like it feels bigger. And then if you look at the grind profile of it as well, let's get my little pick. So normally on an MK30, we just call them MK30s, that the grind, you know, starts and the thin bit is quite substantial, and these are some of the thinnest grinds I've ever experienced, especially the MK31s. But if you look at this one, it goes down further, so it's not really hitting the hollow till all the way down there. So there's much less of a hollow on this. So in a way, it's a bit of a stiffer MK32, and for that I'm really grateful, because it shaves marvellously. And it just sort of like fits all of what I want in a razor really. So she's my keeper. Because of the scales as well. It's got more of a square point to it as well. So you can see, a bit more rounded, a bit more square. They did play around with the toes a little bit, but I prefer them like that. They just look a bit smarter, don't they? So what is the last one? Well, the last one is nearly what we can call a unicorn, because it's an MK33. And I can honestly say, I never thought I was going to find one of these, let alone managed to buy one. And I've been in the race for 2 of them. This one weren't really a race because, well, I got it not cheap, but a very good price. And it's an MK33. And they are rare. They really are. Like I said, I've been collecting razors and shaving with straights for a long time now, and I've only ever seen 2 for sale, including this one. And the other one went to like 450 quid, and I think I was up to leave 300 with it, and I had to bail because I'm not a rich man, and that was way out of what I wanted to pay for it. You know, it's not pristine. Like, there's a fair bit of home wear, and when it was new, it would clearly had like nearly another 2 mil. It's not much bigger in kind of width than a full-size MK2, and that's missing. Well, I wouldn't say that's missing any, but you do get bigger MK32s. Like, I've got one right next to me now, and that one's a bit bigger than that. But I don't think this was ever like honed other than that it come out the factory. And you do get like a variance in scale. So like MK32s, they can go down as little as like a 14 mil, and they can go up to as high as about an 18. Sometimes I've had a couple that have been nearly 19. The MK32s, they can start off at about 19 and they can go right up to 22. And the MK33s, well, they're meant to be 22 mil and above, and they can go all the way up to sort of 24.5 mil, so nearly 25 mil. But this one, like I said, it's got a bit of wear. But she's about 21 mil. And it's just, like I said, it's a bit of a unicorn razor really. It's pretty rare. So if you look at the difference in the shanks over the years, just different. You know what I mean? And there's more weight in this shank than this shank. Just slightly different grinding profiles. These are all ground at home, from Homemeister grounding, you know, in their sheds, in their spare room, because that's how, like the Swedish grinders on the whole, you know, that's how they operated. But even the tops are a bit different. That all a bit different, all different blanks. See, that's got the more typical kind of like MK gimping, but you can see the difference in size. You can feel it as well. I've weighed these on other videos if you want to care to go and find them. So that's my MK thumb notches, and they'll pretty much be with me to the grave, I think. Especially the MK33. That's a serious fun day every time that comes out. Right, we're getting down on now a bit. Hope you're still here. I hope you ain't bored. And this is one of my most favourite razors as well. So this is a J.A. Hengel's 17. And to me, the J.A. Hengel's 17 is about the best size razor. It really is. It's got this decent weight to it. This is definitely one of the more older 17s that they made. I did these scales. I actually broke the scales, the original. It's just plastic anyway. My wife come home and I had this in a slipcase. It come in a slipcase. And I was just holding it like that because I'd not long got it out of bloody packaging after it come through the post. And she come in, got distracted, and the bloody thing fell out the slipcase, the irony of it, and it landed like that. Bang! Thankfully it landed like that really, and it just completely blew the scales off. So I was like, oh, lo and behold, I'm going to have to put some scales on. And my sort of inspiration was a bit sort of Japanesey with the scales on this. And I think I kind of got it a little bit. I went a bit thinner there than I normally did. But anyway, yeah, these 17 patterns, and I think especially more so in the J.A. Hengels and everything, are just like the perfect size. They really are. If you find some of the bigger razors a little tiny bit unwieldy or even a bit intimidating, some people have said, like, this is just the perfect compromise because you've got really good weight in it. And the steel on this is amazing, like carbon steel 17 J angles razor. Every time I get that out, it's a fun shave. And it's one of my most favourite ones, really. Obviously the case is original. So this is one of my recent acquisitions. This comes a pair. They was in like a really old battered Edwardian travel vanity case thing. I sold the other one to one of my razor friends in, let me try and get this right, Bulgaria, I believe. Yeah, it is. I'm nearly sure it's Bulgaria. And I just love it. And I shaved with this the other day, and it was just lovely. Like, really good shaving experience. And I reckon I've got a little tiny bit more to get on this, like the edge of this. So if anybody wants to chime in and help me rediscover what this shank design is called, is it the double notch? I look at it and all I can see is a skeleton, so I'm naming it the skeleton shank. Yeah, obviously it's not, because it's just me. But yeah, some people have said, oh, it's a bit like a double notch, which obviously it is like a double notch. But I tell you what, it done half fit in your hand nice. Really does. Original Joseph Rogers scales and pins and collars, just the same as like that true wedge I've got back there. Just lovely, look at it. And it's got like this really beautiful shine to it. Like, I have polished this a little bit, but I ain't polished it to death or anything. And you can see, like, where there was a thing called crocus polishing, and I do believe this one was crocus polished. Like, lovely. The stamping's not the great on this. The other one had really good stamping, but this one, like, you must be able to see it, it's got a crack from the forging process from, well, I think it must start down here because I can still see it there, and it goes all the way along, like literally all the way along. This is why I kept this one over the other one, because the other one had just a little bit of crack in there, so they both had a bit of cracking going on. And I spoke to a blacksmith who I think is angling towards making some razors, because he was on a razor forum when he announced himself as a blacksmith. And I think it was from where they were folding the metal and hammering and stuff, and he seems to think the same as well. Like, I'm no expert in blacksmithing whatsoever, but if you look at it on this area here where the crack comes into it, it barely goes into it a mil, so it's nothing to ever worry about. And whoever had this razor before me really understood how to run laps with a razor that's got this kind of shape to it, because, well, they'd basically sorted the razor out for me, and it just wants to run laps. It loves it, and it's just a lovely shaver, man. It really is one of my sort of like new favourites, basically. And I just love the double thumb notch. It really does fit, like, really does fit. I wish that was a tiny bit more curly, but yeah, the actual double thumb notch bit is just great, man. Yeah, it's like I say, it's one of my more recents. And this one is one of my favourite razors. Anybody that knows me knows I love this razor. It is a Japanese Parker, and it's made from ultra high carbon Swedish steel. Made in Japan, Tokyo, finest carbon steel. It's called a Parker 1001. And some people say this is made from what they used to call Azab steel, which is one of the most highest carbon steels, I think, is kind of almost being invented, that can get a really sharp, fine edge and maintain it without being too brittle, because obviously if you add more carbon to things, it gets more brittle. And supposedly this razor, and there is some other razors out there, one of them's called, is it Gold Rex? And it's effectively the same blank as these, but it's just lovely. I just love this razor, man. Like, I love the little, like, Japanese sort of heel design again, that's quite common in Japanese razors. And again, this is a razor that's got that grinding. It's not as prominent on this razor because whoever had it before me, you know, it's leather life, but you can tell when it was in factory, it's got that grinding there, and then meeting in the middle. I just love it. If I was going to be hypercritical of it, I wish it was a bit wider. You know, if that was another 2-3 mil, it literally would be my most favourite this razor. I did the scales on it, like I said. I went for a different design down the bottom, Japanese inspired, I don't know. But anyway, I fancied doing something a bit different on it. And in person, it's got this lovely sort of glinting going onto it. My standard little red wedge and slivers of brass. Swedish steel stamp there. And on the back it says Parker Razor and Co Limited. It's got the original grind patterns going down. One of my best. And this was my best. This is my actual attempt at making a sheath, and as you can see, it comes out quite nice. Better than the other one, anyways. Put it that way. Just because it's black as well. Right, what have we got here? Aha, yes. So we've got my Stumpy. This is a H. Williams London made, and you just don't see that many London made razors. You really don't. It's got the initials. What is it? Is it TG? I reckon it might be. It's just a beautiful stubby. As soon as I got this in hand, I was like, because I've never been one to really care for stubbies too much. For whatever reason, no real reason actually, but I just not really favoured them or cared for them too much. But I see this for sale and I put a bid in it. I won it, and then when I got it in hand, I was like, man, yeah, this can be my one. I've actually got a couple more going. I've got a sharp and hone and whatnot, so I might end up with 2. But yeah, this one's mine. I love it that it's London made as well, because again, it's like I said, it's just quite a bit sort of rare, a bit different. H. Williams, if anybody knows anything about H. Williams, get in touch, man, because I'm struggling to find anything about it. And they must have been quite a sort of prominent player in the razor, like, well, back then. But you're talking like the 1700s probably. So many a year has passed since then. The old box is another Gentleman's Companion. It was, yeah, German. I can actually remember one of the razors that was in here. It's quite a nice razor in itself, that was. But my little stubby lives in there now. And then, well, this is one of my favourite razors again. These are all my favourite razors now. But this one is my most expensive razor as well. By a country mile, some would call it. I rescaled it. Yeah, it didn't have the original scales anyway, so I wasn't bothered about rescaling it whatsoever. And I like these scales, as you can tell. Got a few razors with them. But it's a Dorco 14. So I love a 14 razor. You don't see many Dorco 14s. You know, Dorco weren't really going around for that long compared to some of the other makers. And it's just a wonderful thing. It really is. It's pretty much shaped similar to all the other 14s really. But it's a bit special to me because it says Swedish steel. So as soon as I see, because Dorco with J.A. Hengel's is my best German makes, or at least my most fondest. And as soon as I see Swedish steel, and I imagine this was more gold at some point, I was like, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. And I asked him if he can drop the price, and he effectively said a big no. So then I had to nearly remortgage my house. But I've got it. It means I've really scratched my Dorco itch now as well. So whatever way I look at it, I'm content with my one Dorco. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's just a wonderful shaving experience. It really is. It's like just lovely. It's got some nice gimping on this one as well. Gonna have to get that out again soon, I think. Give it another whirl. Well, we've only got 3 more left now. So, Gallimiro Hope. So this company was affiliated with J.A. Hengel's for a while. Supposedly he might have been one of their grinders, went through the rag, blah blah blah, nobody's really sure. But either they definitely corroborated corroborated with J.A. Hengel's, and as you can see they had a very similar mark. And I've had actually J.A. Hengel's razors, Galamiro Hope razors in that on the back side they've actually had J.A. Hengel's stamped on them, so I know without a doubt that there was definitely some form of proper affiliation going on with them. So this is another 14 pattern, so just like the Dorco really. But these Galamiro Hope ones, because I've got two of these, or at least, yeah, I have got two of them. Oh yeah, one was for sale. But they've got almost like this Japanese feel to them, to me. Like, you know, the heels coming in a little bit more. Just there's something about them that says to me a little bit more sort of Japanese inspired. And from my research, that kind of like makes a bit of sense, because J.A. Hengel's was a big player in the Japanese market. So it makes me think that, you know, well, they would have had insider information in terms of that. So surely they would have. It's got nice gimping, feels lovely in the hand. I probably did the brass wedge a little tiny bit too fat, if you know what I mean. I should have thinned it out a little bit more that end and just got a little tiny bit of weight out. But if you put scales like that, it almost disappears. So it's just about positioning the scales a little tiny, probably. But because you've got lots of finger room on a 14, you've got good scope for it. It's a fine razor, man. It's got some fine grinding on it. There's a few little scratches going that way, but they're quite faint. But yeah, it's one of my most favourite razors. I love it, man. And I rescaled this as well. This was some of my fake tortoiseshell acrylic that you now can't really get hold of, man. It's really disappointing, but I'm just grateful I got a couple of sheets of it, basically. Yeah, it's gone like rocking horse poo, that stuff. And the actual company that made it, I think they've stopped making it. And here's my filly. Nearly everybody that's into their razors has got to have a filly, haven't they, at some point. I've had 3 or 4 of them now, but like I've said before, I'm only somebody that I don't like 10 filly monikers, you know. One's good enough for me, and I've had like 3 or 4 of them now. I've definitely had 3, and this one's been my most like favoured, so I've kept it. And it's E Special para Barbos Doros, which basically translates as 4 tough beards. I think it's basically the same as all the other fillies, just like all the other fillies are, apart from the one that might have been ice frozen, but then there's speculation that all of them have been ice frozen, haven't they, and stuff, so ice tempered. But yeah, it's got some etching. It's meant to have more of an etching going down there, and it's meant to be basically that special Barbos Doros. You can see it in certain lights, but I think it's almost disappearing a bit in this particular light today. But yeah, it's lovely, man. It's got some nice scales. Some people say they're a bit too flimsy and everything, but to me they're just scales. That's to protect the blade, and they do just that. Fits lovely in my hand. And this is the one that I actually did the repair. So when I got this, it didn't have that. And well, nearly everybody that knows these kind of filling monikers and everything, you can't get these because it's just a piece of rubber, and the rubber just deteriorates over the years. So if you still got the original one, you're really lucky. But I come across this product that is a bit like plasticine, but in air it solidifies to a certain point and turns into like almost like this rubber. And because it sticks to the metal, it's probably actually better than the original rubber, because the thing is, when you add one of these original rubbers, the water could get underneath it, and you used to really struggle to keep it like kind of neat because of the corrosion and whatnot, whereas this one's like stuck to it. So technically I don't think, unless you was really silly, the water can get under it and really rust it. And as you can see, I tried to keep it as original as I could. I really did put a bit of time and study into how I was going to go about it. This was my first attempt, and I know if I did it again I'd end up with a bit of a neater kind of result, but I'm very happy with it. To me it's very nice. It's about 24 mil, so it's lost maybe a mil and a half, but I don't care about that. It's still got some of its kind of like etching on the top, but a little bit of that's rubbed off. It's just a lovely razor. I'm going to have to shave that again soon because I ain't for a while. And if you look at the scales, look, see, people moan they're really kind of like basic and everything, but these particular scales they've got like almost like a gold fleck to them in the sun. I don't know if you're picking that up. It's especially more prominent on this end area there, but it goes all the way down the scales. They kind of like glint. He's tightening a bit, doesn't it? Tighten it up. And then finally, we've probably got, well, I don't know if it is my favourite razor. It's a difficult one because, like I said, there's 3 or 4 back there we've just gone through, and I really do love them. But I suppose in a way this is my most prettiest kind of razor in a way, for various reasons. But it's a Japanese razor by Kikuukan. It says special steel, Tokyo, Japan. Don't know what that says there. Is it a 5 can? Not sure. Trademark number 48. Nothing else. Nothing else. But it's just a beautiful razor. We're stuck in. What's going on? As long as it ain't rusted. Gee God. And this had its first touch up a few months ago, and it just went lovely. It did. Just a lovely razor. I got a bit gooey over this razor, I must admit. So one of the reasons I like this razor is because it's a very traditional Japanese grind for one, and obviously it's got these beautiful stampings and stuff. You know, all the stampings to do with the marking and everything's nice and bright. It's got this lovely little beautiful inlay here. But look, it's got this little stamp there on the tang, and it says Tamahagni, which means special steel, precious steel in Japan. Like, you know, I'm not saying this is made from Tamahagni that traditional like steel would have been made from, which was basically sand out their bloody rivers. But you know, it does translate as special steel and everything. And I can tell you now for nothing, it's wonderful steel. It really is. It's got this beautiful etching on the back as well, and then like the little Kikuukan stamp there with a 48. And one of the other reasons I really enjoy this razor is because one of my best razor scales is a German Gotha 120. And if you know anything about a Gotha 120, this is basically the same kind of scale pattern. So I think that's why it just tips the balance even a little bit more. If we look at the grind on it, look at that. That's almost got like a perfect, just perfect grind, man. And it has got like an ever slight transition, like a tiny point of a belly light, and you can just about, like, my fingers are really quite tuned into this side of life. Do you know what I mean? I've been a builder all my life, and quite literally all my life as well, even when I was a kid. So yeah, there's this point of transition, and it's just about there. And if you could get like a really like high-tech pair of calipers, you could probably find it like and measure it, if you know what I mean. But you can't really see it there, because it would be about there. But it's just got a beautiful grind to it. Everything about it screams quality to me, and there's barely a scratch on it, which makes my day. Yeah, it really is barely a scratch. Right, so that's it, lads. That's the last of them for today. I've probably got about 15 in my various drawers that I intend to be mine. I've got this really nice old Joseph Elliott's. It's got sort of like a different feel and look to it. It really is quite an old one. I've got various wedges as well. I've got quite a lot of wedges coming through that I intend to be mine. So my collection probably will quite change a little bit this year, if you know what I mean. It's because I'm sliding more towards the wedges a little bit. And that ain't because I think they shave better per se, because I'm somebody that says if you get a good edge on a good steel razor, you're going to still get the same kind of shave, if you know what I mean. But yeah, the experience of shaving with wedges I find quite cool and whatnot. So I've got quite a few wedges coming through, and I have got some real nice ones, which I will show along the way as we home, and also when I next do my collection. So I intend to do another one this year. I'll do 2 a year, I reckon, and then it'll equal out, sort of showing them off in a way. Alright, well, I love you and leave you. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've stayed for the whole thing, well done. See ya. Toodaloo.